Hello everyone and welcome to the Be Smart About Art show. Well, today we have had more technology issues, which just is the kind of name of the game it seems. So if you were relying on technology to be streaming at certain times, just a heads up that sometimes it actually won't work. But I have some good news for you, which is that I have worked out that on today's show we can use the whiteboard. Now there is one slight challenge of doing this today, which is that because I'm streaming on the iPhone and not on the laptop, what that means is that I, in an exercise for you, I'm going to be trying to write backwards, because on the smartphone it uses the selfie camera, and therefore if I were to write the letter S in what appears to be the right thing for me, which, can you see? You can barely see it. That, I'll use a different marker. That actually to you appears to be backwards. So this could be quite entertaining what we're doing. But before we actually kick off with the superpower exercise, we have promised a quiz for you today. So on the Tuesday Be Smart About Art question time show, which by the way, I do welcome everyone to be sending in questions. I basically have just prepared an exercise so that we can work through something in case you don't send any questions, but you are more than welcome to send in questions right now. I'm just grabbing my laptop so that I can see anything that you're saying. Be sure to say hello and where you're coming in from as well, and because you could be anywhere in the world basically. And if you have questions about what you're doing right now with your creative career, I know that different people are doing different things and having different challenges, and I was speaking with a gallerist earlier today. He was saying there's some real opportunities right now as well, which I thought was a really good attitude. But on the Tuesday Be Smart About Art show, we now always kick off with a quiz. Oh, and hello, I can see people waving. So in today's quiz, I have got 2 real stories and 1 fake story from the art world. And your task is to guess which one is the fake and which 2 ones are the real ones. So in no particular order, I'm going to read you 3 different supposedly real stories, but again, 1 is a fake. So, story number 1. Marina Abramovich holds virtual satanic ritual dinner on Zoom. Spirit cooking is a form of ritual where pig's blood, possibly human blood, fresh breast milk and fresh sperm is used to act as a medium connecting spirits to the material world. It is also the name of a performance Maria Abramovich previously staged at a number of museums around the world in which she painted graffiti with pig's blood. Now apparently, newly inspired during the worldwide lockdown, Abramovich has held a spirit cooking dinner party over Zoom with an extensive list of VIP guests. Story number 2. The lunar meteorite weighs more than 30 pounds. It was discovered 2 years ago in the western Sahara Desert, likely separated from the moon after a collision with an asteroid or comet. The stone may have landed on Earth hundreds or even thousands of years ago. It is one of the rarest substances on the planet. There are only an estimated 1,400 pounds of lunar rock known to man. And story number 3. The newest body dysmorphia-inducing plastic toy for children uses the work of renowned artist Jean-Michel Basquiat to transform artistic practice into yet another trinket to buy. Some of his most famous works appear on the doll suit. The hair is styled like the artist's expressionist locks, and the crown is, of course, his ubiquitous symbol, Basquiat's image and work reduced to the most recognizable part. So there we've got 3 different stories. One is holding a virtual satanic ritual dinner on Zoom. That took place, and we also have got this lunar meteorite weighing some phenomenal amount, and then the third story is that we have got this kind of Barbie doll type thing for Jean-Michel Basquiat. So any ideas as to which story is the fake and which one is real, feel free to throw in your ideas as to which one you think is which, and then I'm going to tell you. And I think it's quite fun to think about how you can do quizzes online, how you can bring real stories and make something of them when we're talking about this kind of communication that we're doing these days. And storytelling is actually really important for engaging people's minds. So I'll go ahead and tell you which ones are real and which ones are fake, or which one is fake. So the 2 that are real are the lunar meteorite and also the Jean-Michel Basquiat little Barbie doll type figure. And then, and somebody's guessed the one that was real. And then the fake one was the Marina Abramovich. The thing is, she might be doing things that are really crazy and out there and interesting, but she's not actually using, say, real blood in those Zoom events. So there you go. There's something that we'll find out. And after the show, what we're going to do is share the links to the real stories for you, because I think that they're actually quite interesting news pieces. It's kind of an addition to our Monday show, which is the art world this week. So what I am going to do is take you through what to me is a really fabulous exercise that I think is worthwhile doing during this whole period that we're all going through, and that is to think about what are your superpowers. And what I'm going to do is take you through this exercise. So grab a pencil or a pen, or open up a tablet or something, or like a document, so that you can make some notes on your own machine and do this exercise with me, but for yourself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to write backwards, which this is the entertaining bit. Right, so we have got, and I think, see if you're going to be able to see that. Barely. Okay, so there we go. Did I do that right? Oh, I probably did it the wrong way around. Okay. So if nothing else, this is kind of entertaining, is it not? Right. So the first thing on the list is superpower. My question for you is, what are your superpowers? So this is a 3-part exercise, and things will end up feeding in to one another as we go through this. So your superpowers are things that you just find that you do naturally. They're things that you probably even enjoy doing. They're the things that you don't want to do these other things over here, so you end up doing this. Now, before we go into too much detail, I'm still leaving it as an abstract concept, and then I'll walk you through some real life examples to help you work this out yourself. Now, the second one is this. It is an energy zapper. Okay, so this is quite funny writing backwards. I don't even know if I got that right, but there we are. So, there we go, energy zapper. Okay, so energy zapper, I think this is a really powerful one, okay? So an energy zapper is things that you can do, things that you can work yourself through, but you really don't enjoy doing them. So these are going to be things that when you have to, when you're forced to, when you take yourself through, you can, but wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody else could do them? Right, and then I'm going to do danger zone. So danger zone, now I'm going for all caps it appears. So danger zone basically are those things that are just, you're just not good at. This might have to do with learning styles. It might have to do even with things like, let's say, it's not necessarily quite this extreme, but it might be that you're dyslexic. There are a lot of people who are dyslexic in the art industry. Now, it depends on what kind of level of dyslexia that you might have. So it might be that there are some activities that you just go, you know what, danger zone. I'm gonna mess it up. But it could be that actually it's an energy zapper and not a danger zone situation, because it might be that you go, you know what, actually I can do this and I can conquer this and it's going to be amazing. And you have to work yourself through it. So I'm going to walk you through some very common examples that I see of working out what your strengths and your weaknesses are. And this is an incredibly powerful to do. So when it comes naturally, that could be something like, let's look at me at the moment, speaking to people. Now, speaking is something that is said to be one of those things in life that really terrifies people. And hello, everybody who's watching this right now. I can see various people I know online right now. So for me, a superpower might be speaking. I've done tours of art fairs in which I've had gallerists say to me, Susan, you're such a weirdo. Why do you do this? And I'm like, because I love it. I love engaging people. I love exciting people about what it is that they're looking at around them, about what they're focusing on, about discovering works of art in that particular scenario. It's just that engagement with other human beings that I think is really wonderful. So that's something, for in my case, is just fabulous, that I really, really love doing. I can see that BSAA one-to-one advisor and kind of co-facilitator for the Art Biz Bootcamp, Deborah Henry Pollard, is also online. And maybe a superpower for Debs is tango dancing, as an example of something that's personal as well. But on the second one of the most common examples, and I think this is powerful to realize what is an energy zapper for you, is, say, putting together email marketing campaigns. It might be that you can do it, but that you just go, wow, I have to overcome this hurdle. Maybe each time you have to end up going, how do I relearn this, or what has changed about the platform? And it actually really helps if something is, say, an energy zapper, to tackle it. And Debs is saying yes to the tango dancing. And in terms of energy zapping, if it's something that you get yourself to address on a regular enough basis, it actually ends up being something that you can feasibly do, and you can do it on a regular basis. You can end up almost overcoming it being a zapper. And what I would say with this one is that an energy zapper is going to be something that you often need to reframe your relationship with it. So I use the term email marketing. That may not work for you. It might be, how can you update your audience? How can you communicate to people what you're doing? How can you excite people about works of art right now, or services that you're offering? And simply reframing that is going to help that not be such a zap on you. So this often is to do with psychology. It's often what's going on here, and it's a mindset. And so thinking about how you can address that will help it not be such a drain. But danger zone are going to be those things that you realize that, in fact, if you possibly can, you get somebody else to do that for you. And if you can't, you might find ways. It might even be that you co-work with somebody at this point in time online to help you go through these things. So an example of a danger zone might be to do with looking at numbers. It could be raising an invoice. It might be following up people who owe you money. Danger zone can be a variety of things, and in an ideal world, you're getting somebody else to do the danger zone activities. And to give you an example of this, because we think about how in this one, this is basically your major weaknesses, okay? These are the things that are just not your cup of tea. So we've got Debs online with us now, and I think that's ideal because she and I, in terms of working together most years in the Art Biz Bootcamp, we'll be back in 2021 with that. What she and I do in working together is we've recognized, okay, one of us is a starter and one of us is a completer finisher. I'm the starter. What that means is that I lift projects off the ground. I am great at bringing together new initiatives, brainstorming ideas on my whiteboard, even when I have to write backwards. That's something that I just thrive on. I'm a very natural, deeply creative person, and I just have all of these ideas, and I really love to get things started. So Debs, in that boot camp, she is our official completer finisher. So for me, a danger zone is completing finishing. If I have to finish something, I will finish it. And it might take time. I might be pretty much like, it might be pulling teeth to get myself to finish a project. And I share this in common with many, many creative people. So danger zone, I would put in here for me, completing finishing. And the very fact that I have recognized that that's a danger zone activity for myself is extremely helpful, because I know whenever I come across something that means I am completing or finishing on something, I know I have to work particularly hard to get it done. But even better, such as in the bootcamp, to have Debs as that official completer finisher. And what that means is that she can handle that part, and then I can handle the startup part. So when we talk about superpowers, something that, again, I'm going to share in common with many people watching this video now or as the replay, is getting things started, because we think, ooh, new ideas for creative people, isn't that exciting? So that you might have things that go up there. But what about then getting to some of the nitty gritty of some of the projects that you start? And one thing that's really incredible actually about this whole pandemic period is that you see a lot of new projects, even new gallery businesses starting online. It's quite interesting, new social media handles, etc., etc. But if you're doing something that's a pretty big project, let's say that you have an idea to start up something new, during this whole period. And we know that we're going to step into probably what's going to be a deep recession after the pandemic period. And so, with some overlap there as well, that package of what you're putting together is going to require quite a few different steps. And some of them will be to your strengths, and some of them will be to your weaknesses, and some will fall in the middle that maybe you need to get more practice at doing them in order to do them well. Let's pretend that you decide to set up in collaboration with some other people, and as Deb says, it's all about collaboration and partnership, that you decide to set up some kind of online gallery initiative of sorts. So coming up with the concept, thinking about who is going to be involved with it, also thinking about just what it's going to do, that part, that brainstorming part, let's say in my world, that's really exciting. Now, if I think about some other people and what I often observe in the art world is maybe challenges with willingness to confront or to be perceiving a situation as confronting. So let's say that originally there was somebody in the dialogue and you think actually that person doesn't make sense to be collaborating with this group. And so that means you've got to address the fact that you need to manage this person out of the group. Now that might be an energy zapper for lots of people. It's not to say it's necessarily a danger zone, but it's something that you're going to have to work hard in order to be willing to do something. But the longer that you leave it, the harder a situation it is going to be to address. And the last thing you want to do in that kind of scenario is to proceed with that person being involved when it doesn't make any sense. Let's say everyone's decided that the theme is going to be blue triangles, totally pulling things out of thin air, for what you're presenting online to sell on your third-party marketplaces, on your own website, across your social channels, and you're all working together. And that person doesn't do blue triangles, they only do red squares. And so therefore it just doesn't make sense from an objective point of view. But you have got to be willing to address that conversation, because that's going to be good for everyone, and to get everyone to the realization that it makes sense for them to carry on with their own projects and for the group to do something else. Now, in terms of danger zone, what about doing things like setting up a bank account, or let's say not just registering the domain. As a starter, I love registering domains. What about going and updating some DNS settings and working out exactly how all that stuff is going to work in the background? Now, is that an energy zapper or is that a danger zone? Is maybe actually it's something that is purely out of your skill set? If it's outside of your skill set, and so much so that you would have to go and learn all kinds of things you don't currently understand, it is worth bringing in somebody else. It could be a collaborator, it could be somebody who you pay, it could be a friend in this situation, it could be so many things. It is useful to have some kind of really clear agreement if somebody's helping you with something that does have sensitive personal information as well. And in that case, not really any risk to the General Data Protection Regulation, that is GDPR, and the personal data of people. But with danger zone, you want to think about what are the things that other people can do. And I think a group example, a group project is great, because what you can do is you can identify with the group what are people really great at doing, what are people just terrible at doing they should avoid, and what are some things that people could do if they simply put their mind to it and end up feeling fantastic about themselves as a result of doing it. So superpowers, energy zappers, and danger zone. This is an extremely useful exercise for tackling essentially projects in the future, what you're doing now, and identifying where you can delegate. What are the things that just simply, in an ideal world, don't make sense for you to do? And if you at some point in time do have some assistance around you, if you don't yet, you can even move some things from energy zapper onto somebody else's plate. So what I want you to do now, let's spend just several minutes thinking about your own superpowers, your own energy zappers, and your own danger zones. We've got a nice group of people who are attending online now. If anything has come to your mind as to what your own superpowers, energy zapper, danger zones are, please feel free to add them into comments. I would love to see what people are saying, and getting ideas from other people is very, very helpful. It gives you ideas of areas that you can target. So far, I have been thinking about setting up projects. I have touched a little bit on digital marketing and communication in terms of what are some strengths, what are some weaknesses. So let's think about this for a minute. What are you thinking about in terms of your own superpowers? Make a note of them. And as I was saying, feel free to share in the comments as well. And I'm just going to carry on giving you some examples while you're working on that, just to give you some food for thought. So when we're talking about, let's carry on with this idea of let's say the creation of content. That's what creative folks do. You are curating, you are putting together shows, you are making works of art. That is what you do. And one thing that comes around that is communicating to the world what it is that you're doing. So how can you go about communicating? Well, some ideas are, what about creating content by way of a podcast? What about by creating videos? What about blog posts? So for some people, you'll be going, oh yeah, I love doing that stuff. So some people will be going, great, fantastic, I love doing that. And there might have been one or two things that I just said, let's say creating blog posts, and you go, no, no, no. Now bearing in mind, you can do very visually based blog posts as well. They don't have to have tons of writing. So where are those things that I was just saying coming in for you, and what then are the superpowers that mean that you are going to be able to effectively communicate to people about what it is that you're doing. So if you're really great at doing studies that you can share online, that's some really great content that you can share. If you're somebody who really thrives on doing, let's say, quick little stories on your Instagram, that's something else that you can do. And then what about energy zappers? What are those things that you can do, but you probably need to do more often in order for it not to zap your energy? And that, as I was saying before, is often where I see things like email marketing coming in. It could be actually sending one-to-one emails is something that really gets to you as well. And I do think Debs mentioned earlier in this call about how collaborations and partnerships are really helpful. When it comes to, say, sending one-to-one email communication, perhaps you've got someone who is interested in potentially buying a work of art, but you're not quite sure how to be doing follow-up in the current circumstances. Have somebody else, a friend, a colleague, look at that message. Have them say, what do they think? Is the tone right? Is it good? Is it sensitive? Is it the balance you want to be striking? Communication is always paramount, and how we're communicating is needing to adjust right now. And therefore, having other people help you as well, if something is zapping your energy, is brilliant. And it could even be that there are projects in which you can bring in somebody else to help you with those things. And then when it comes to danger zone, I think that this is the kind of thing where actually if I come back full circle to one of the earlier examples I gave you, which is dyslexia. Now, dyslexia is not to say that it is something that is going to completely prevent you from having your career. I'm immediately thinking about somebody I know who's a very successful artist, and I think one of the best things that she did pretty early in her career that contributed to her success is that she went, you know what, I really struggle with email communication because of this kind of the dyslexia that is in her case just about disabling. And so what she did is she started to bring in a studio assistant every single Friday, and what that meant was they would send out press releases. She would respond to, as the assistant, would respond to sales emails, respond to all kinds of emails, and do a lot of the textually based communication when she went into the studio on a Friday, and over the years was able to come in more and more as the artist's career developed. And further to that, the artist had at the bottom of the email in the signature, please reply simply and clearly, I have dyslexia. And when I saw that, I went, that is awesome. She's tackling it on the head. So for her, a danger zone was actually a condition that she knew about. She was therefore able to do something about it because she knew it was a danger zone, even though she didn't use that term, and she had a solution. So what are your solutions for the things that are danger zones, and might you even be able to do some skill swapping with other people as well? If there's something in which you have a real strength at, but then you've got another weakness, and somebody else is exactly the opposite, I can see real opportunities. And that, I mean, things like graphic design come to mind. That just is a natural thing for some people, and it just isn't for others. And yet it's a need that we all have in the current world. And so we've got a comment coming in, which is, and also the help the assistant to get knowledge, investing in people, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And that studio assistant was able to learn so much working that closely with the artist as well. For what I know, they might still be working together today. And everyone, that is bringing us to a close to today's Be Smart About Art show. Having started with a quiz and ending up with what I think is a really informative exercise. So I invite you to continue doing this exercise yourself and think about how you can tackle those different areas so that effectively you're challenging yourself, because that is really important, that some things you do overcome so that you can actually learn. You always want to be learning in life, and yet playing to your strengths with your superpower. That is where you want to largely reside. It's been an absolute pleasure to have people. Thank you so much, everyone, for engaging. I can even see that I've got a cousin who is watching me right now from the States, so hello, cousin. And do be sure, everyone, to check out patreon.com/Be Smart About Art. That is where the Be Smart About Art community lives. We have an awesome program, and we run this show Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday each week. All of the members gather for good old chinwag on Fridays as well. And all of this is taking place online, which means that people can engage no matter where you're based. And we are here to help you thrive in a changing and ever increasingly shifting art world. As we say, we're here to help you thrive, and we encourage you to participate, connect, and grow. That is, participate in community, connect with other people, and then grow both personally and professionally. It all comes together in the mix in this time that we're going through, and there are opportunities, and you'll find that there are new beginnings that are resulting as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time, and there's an announcement coming out soon about a new monthly event that will be running, so keep your eyes peeled. See everyone soon online. I'm going to sign out now from Sussex, and see you next time. Ciao for now.